Hello everyone, happy Tuesday, welcome to another music theory class, and what we're going to do today is take the chord inversions that we wrote yesterday, and I also have a couple bonus ones down at the bottom, and we're going to look at how to properly label these and how we get those labels, and I'm going to ask you to complete the attached worksheet from the email today. So what I have here, like I said, these are the chords that we wrote yesterday on flat, that I have printed this to a PDF so I can mark it up and do all that kind of stuff. We have, again, just a refresher, we have a C major chord, these regular 3-note chord of C major in 3 different positions. We have a root position first, we have first inversion second, and then we have second inversion, and then we have a C major 7th chord also in root position, first inversion, second inversion, and then with a 7th chord we can even go up to third inversion because we have that extra note. But we will get there in a little bit. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to zoom in on this first chord that we have, which is C major in root position. Now I'm going to zoom in because I'm going to write on this document and I need a little bit of space. So what we have here, C major in root position, it is these 3 notes just stacked on top of each other. That's the typical way that we usually see a chord written out. And I will tell you right now, anytime you see 3 or more notes stacked exactly like this on consecutive lines or spaces, in this case we have 3 notes on 3 consecutive lines, that is always going to be root position. Root position is always going to happen when you have these 3 notes stacked nicely like that. Now let me get into this, and I'm going to mark the notes that we have here, not with the letter names but with numbers, and that's going to show us how we're going to mark this chord. So I told you yesterday the root of a chord is the note that the chord is named after. We have a C major chord here, and that means that our root is that C, and I'm going to get rid of that circle because that looks horrible. So this note, this bottom note in root position, that is C, and since we have our root in the bass, it's the lowest note that we have. This is in root position. Now here's how we start marking these chords. We are going to call the lowest note, no matter what it is, that lowest note we're always going to mark with a 1. So if we count intervals above that 1, the next note that we have is an E, and we know that E is a major 3rd above C, so we have 1, 3, and then we know that G is a perfect 5th above C. So we have 1, 3, and 5. Those are the notes that make up a chord, and that's how they end up being placed in a root position chord. Now, stay with me for a second. I'm going to show you a little bit of what we call Roman numeral analysis. We are analyzing the chords that we see here. One thing that we need when we analyze a chord is a key signature. And in this case, we are in C major. We would look here for a key signature, and there's no markings, so that either means that we're in C major or A minor. We're in C major for right now. So I'm going to write a capital C with a colon. That's how we tell what key signature we are in. In this case, it is a C major, and we have a C major chord as our first note. Now, it's been a while since we've done Roman numerals with chords, but we know that the first note in a key signature, in this case C, the chord base off of that is going to be represented with a Roman numeral 1, a nice capital I. So this is what we have. We have what we would call a 1 chord in C major, and this chord is the C major chord. Now here's something that you don't always see written out, because this is kind of the standard. Again, this is the way that we usually see these chords stacked, but technically we can mark it this way. Ooh, okay, I'm gonna get rid of that and do a better job. Okay, there we go. So that 3 is pretty big, but what we have here is a 1 chord, and then off to the side we have a 5 and a 3, and they're stacked above each other. What that means is we have this 1 chord, the C major chord is 1 in C major, and the 5 and 3 those are talking about the notes above our lowest note. We don't have to include one. You'll see with what we're going to do with the other chords, we're not going to include one when we write the Roman numeral analysis, but we have 5 and 3. So I will tell you right now, when you see a 3-note chord in root position, it is always going to be that 5-3. You might not always see the 5-3 written out, but that is the technical label for it. I hope that wasn't too confusing. Come back for the next video. We're going to do the same thing with the first inversion chord, and maybe through repetition this will start to make a little more sense if you're a little cloudy.